Time for some stories. You all came to hear some stories. I read a lot of stories. People say, what makes a good story? And I say, I like stories that aren't long. So we keep our stories tight. But every great story will make you laugh, and it'll make you cry, and it'll make you think. And if they're really doing their job, it'll feed your soul a little bit. And I was very picky because I have a really amazing crew, and I had the creme de la creme de la creme. I was very picky in selecting stories for you today because you mean that much to me. And some of our storytellers have been doing it for a very long time, and some of them are just getting started. Like our first performer, who the first time I saw her, I was like, oh, she's got it. And just to make her really nervous backstage, I won't tell her how important it is for the first story to sort of set the pacing of the show and establish tone, win the audience's love. I'm not at all worried. Please join me in welcoming back to our stage Italome Ohikhuare.
Hi, everyone. So, one muggy Miami afternoon, my parents surprised my brother and me with an early Christmas gift, an exorcism. They'd flown in a pastor from an African charismatic church, one of those churches where they run on hot coals and perform exorcisms on a weekly basis. The exorcism was primarily intended for my brother, who's mentally ill. And my loving but very superstitious parents believed that my brother needed a miracle. Because despite years of scientific research, his mental illness wasn't simply a disorder, it was a demonic curse. Once it was removed, my brother would be cured and perfectly normal. My parents also believed that I needed a miracle, because the fact that I was 31, unmarried, unemployed, and childless clearly wasn't normal. And the fact that I made dark and cynical jokes about being 31, unmarried, unemployed, and childless also was not normal. When my demonic curse was removed, I'd get married, have 5 kids, and become a doctor or a lawyer. I'd be cured and normal, not dark and cynical. But who could blame me for being cynical? I'd watched my brother, a completely innocent and sweet human being, be ravaged by a severe psychotic illness. And no matter how hard he tried, how many medications he took, or how hard we prayed for a miracle, he didn't get better. He only got worse. And then there were my own struggles, which obviously paled in comparison to my brother's, but I'd never thought I'd get to my 30s and be without a career or a husband. And I mean, I tried. Advanced degrees, online dating, Nothing worked, so I just shrugged and I said, that's life, and life sucks. But deep down, I didn't want to be cynical. I wanted my brother to get better. I wanted to meet Mr. Right. I wanted to have Mr. Right's kids. I wanted a whole white wedding and white picket fence. And most of all, I wanted to be a storyteller. I wanted to make films, shows, plays, any way I could tell stories that would touch people all over the world. But after years of disastrous dates, rejection letters, I had no idea how any of the above would happen, or if it was ever gonna happen. So hence the shrug. Life sucks. My family wasn't buying my life sucks motto. While my parents believed my curse could be exorcised, my relatives in Nigeria had a much better solution. They believed me and my brother had angered one of the 500 gods that they worship, because apparently all these gods have serious anger problems. So my relatives wanted my brother and me to come home and make peace with the gods by performing a traditional ceremony. The ceremony they wanted me to perform was one of the most revered and feared in Nigeria. It was the ceremony for Olokun, the water goddess, also known as the Mermaid. According to my dad's tribe, it was a ceremony of purification. I'd be immersed in Olokun's sanctified river and then brought back up pure and new, cleansed from my wrongs. When my dad told me this, I said, but I haven't done anything wrong. It is symbolic, he said. It is like getting baptized. Oh, I said. And you must sacrifice a white goat. Oh, that part's exciting. Then I asked my mom, Mom, what's your tribe's version of the ceremony? We throw babies in the river. She said that with a straight face. Babies? Yes, but only the deformed babies. Right, because it's perfectly okay to drown deformed babies? No, they do not always drown. If Olokun pushes the baby back up out of the water, it means it is a mermaid child. It is meant to be deformed, like a mermaid. Now, even for me, that was one of the darkest things I'd ever heard, but I also found it quite beautiful. The image of a goddess saving a child thrown away for being deformed and not normal, then gently pushing it back up into the world, affirming that it was never meant to be that way. But my parents didn't really believe in mermaids and gods and goddesses. Those were just myths. Demons, however, were very real to my parents. So there I was in their living room with this random African man about to exorcise demons out of me. Let's get this over with, I mumbled, hoping I could still make it to my cardio stripper class. I tried not to laugh as the pastor and my parents convulsed and screamed gibberish to the heavens. Then came the worst part, the dreaded laying of hands. This was the miracle moment, when I was supposed to scream or faint. Something big and unexpected had to happen to show that the exorcism was working. But when the pastor laid his hands on my head, he went silent. He closed his eyes. I am having a vision, he said. Oh, great, I thought. You are a storyteller, yes? Yeah? I see you sharing your stories and touching the lives of millions of people. Yes, I see it. God is going to use your stories to change the world. And then something big and unexpected did happen. I broke down, crying. Because that crazy pastor saw a vision for me that I so desperately wanted, but I couldn't see myself. My parents swore they never told him I was a writer, and it didn't even matter, because at that moment, he exactly said what I needed to hear, to bring me out of my darkness and cynicism, to make me stop believing that life sucks and start believing in white weddings and white picket fences. As I lay on the floor crying, I thought, okay, how can I achieve this future? How can I become a successful married storyteller and mother when I'm so not even close to any of that? Then I felt something push me up off the floor. My parents would say it was my renewed soul, no longer a slave to demonic curse. My dark and cynical side would say, yeah, right, because 2 years later, I'm still unmarried and childless, and my brother is still very, very mentally ill. But now I believe in God and mermaids. And I believe God made my brother and me his little deformed mermaids. And if he made us that way, then we must be okay. And most of all, I believe it was God that pushed me off that floor that day, because deformed mermaids can still be great writers and wives and mothers. All they need is a gentle push. Thank you.